take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog. Yeah, that ought to do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fright Fight. I am Nick.
I'm Joe.
And this is the show that takes two horror franchises, puts them together, movie by movie, head to head, makes them fight to find out which is the superior franchise. This season is all about Freddy vs. Jason.
And this time it's going to be episode 10, which puts Jason X versus Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
That's right, episode 10, Wes Craven's New Nightmare is going to be our Freddy movie, and fucking hell. It's not as bad as Freddy's Dead. We'll just get that. It's not as bad as Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
Nothing is as bad as Freddy's Revenge. But Jesus Christ, this movie had so much promise.
Fuck you, Freddy's Revenge.
In Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Heather Langenkamp is plagued by nightmares and has to deal with the kid from Pet Sematary after her husband gets crotch fondled by Freddy Krueger and crashes into a wall. Plus, Robert Englund is just not in it enough.
There's a call for you.
For me?
Listen, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Hello?
In Jason X, Ellen Ripley is rescued by Space Marines who are slowly picked off one by one until the monster shot out an airlock.
So, in Fright Fight, we judge our movies by 5 categories. We have characters, best kill, body count, music, and best overall. Very first category, Joe, what are the characters in this piece of shit?
So there's a lot of characters in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. There's Heather, there is Chase, who is her husband. There's also Dylan, who's their son, who gets afflicted by Freddy. There's also their babysitter, Julie. Then there's also characters who played themselves because they're actors. There's John Saxon, there's Robert Englund, and of course, Wes Craven.
So keeping in line with the idea of actors playing themselves, we're going to go with Jason X, where it's actors playing essentially not versions of other actors, because we have not Olivia Munn, not Danny McBride, not Andrew Garfield, not, well, I guess in this case it would actually just be RoboChick because she is a RoboChick, but not Andrew Garfield built her, not Allison Hannigan, not Candyman, and not Peter McNichol. But as far as characters are concerned, it's an interesting element because there's a longer list of characters in Jason X. There's double characters in New Nightmare. It's not just Heather Langenkamp, it's Heather who's also Nancy, and John Saxon who's also her sheriff dad, like Robert Englund who's also Freddy Krueger. Like, people are kind of playing dual roles and dual elements in the story. It's a meta narrative, whereas this is just Jason in space.
Very simplified plot compared to New Nightmare.
Which I think works better. I mean, we'll get into that as the episode goes on, but this had so much promise. Like, this is an interesting concept that just fucking buries. Like, it doesn't work. But anyway, we're talking about characters. Nightmare characters are typically stronger. They're typically smarter. They're typically able to. There's always the moment where someone outwits Freddy. Like, oh, I understand. We have to do this. This is how we. Like, there's always that aha moment. Whereas with Jason X, it's like almost every character in Jason X, like, they were a formidable opponent for Jason, and they were one step ahead of Jason. I like that, and for that reason, and because the way that they did react to that situation, I'm gonna go with Jason X as the better group of characters. Even though I love John Saxon, and he does a fantastic job here, and Robert Englund, like, granted they're just playing themselves, but they do a very good job. But their characters are so strong, and Heather Langenkamp is so bad in this. She's fucking terrible in this. I'm gonna go with Jason X at least for my vote.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Jason X, all those characters had a very distinct role that they played through. There was a pilot, he did that. There was an engineer, he did that. But they still had their moments where they got to shine. And I think that was definitely a better utilization of the characters because, yeah, these characters we've seen before, and it's just different because they're meta, because it's the actors playing themselves as the characters. Which, yeah, it's a nice concept, but you're right. They kind of meander with what they do with that, and they squander the potential, which is a pretty huge drawback because, yes, Nancy, she's not a great actress, and for the lead role, it's pretty bad when she's getting out-acted by the kid in the same scene. It's
frequently.
Frequently. Yeah, because no, his when he started getting like doing the possessed voice and stuff, it was pretty good. It was effective, and it was, he was a good actor. Really, as a kid, he was a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
So when it comes to my pick, I'm in total agreement. Jason X wins because those characters were more engaging. They did have dumb one-liners, which I think was pretty funny because there were some good one-liners in there.
There were a couple good one-liners. Like there's a couple good jokes. Like there's the scene where Dallas, the pilot, where they're going back and forth. He's like making digs about, like, oh, it's the woman. You're like, hey, we're gonna have a new woman on set. Oh, that's gonna be great. And then he just ends with, I'm lonely. It's just fucking. It seemed like it was just a joke, like ad lib kind of thing, but it was fucking great and it caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky you weren't alive during the Microsoft conflict. Hell, we were beating each other with our own severed limbs. It's nice.
And I don't want to say my vote is just because of the jokes. Like,
oh yeah, no.
Because the main chick who got frozen, cryogenically frozen and stuff.
Olivia Munn.
Not Olivia Munn. I thought she had some good scenes.
What is her actual name?
Who cares?
It's on the box.
Not Olivia Munn. She had some decent scenes. I like that. Like I said, I like the engineer. He was working in his workshop, and the submarines came by, and he got pissed that everyone blew up his shit and he thought someone else was sneaking up on him, and he told him to get lost or you'll wake up with lug nuts underneath your pillow and stuff like that. I like those little moments.
Right.
It humanizes
Did he actually
them.
say that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
I actually paid attention this time.
I was too busy just focusing on like just not Candyman coming with a gun. I didn't even hear him say that. But yeah, no, it's not just the one-liners. Like it's just these are actually pretty strong characters, except for the ones that aren't, and for good reason. Like they're not supposed to be strong characters.
They're for the sake of the plot and plot convenience.
Right.
Like
they're fodder.
Like the business guy, the squirmy guy who's in
Right.
charge. He's like the same character from Avatar. He has one purpose, which is to be.
Which is funny because the same character from Avatar is the same character from Aliens. Like
Yeah.
it's the Paul Reiser character.
Yeah.
Because James Cameron's not fucking inventive.
You're telling me this has alien influences? I
Sure,
would have
yeah,
never
no.
guessed. This is news to me.
Did you notice the Ridley Scott and James Cameron influences in Jason X? You may not. They
were pretty subtle.
Top 15 influences from Jason X. Fucking hell.
Number 14 will surprise you.
Whoa! Oh shit! I got company here, people.
Versus, they don't think he surprises you about New Nightmares, just how fucking dull it is. It had such promise. And one thing, like special shout out to this. John Saxon is fucking great in this.
Yes.
Like I know we talk about John Saxon a lot on this show and other shows. Just he's fucking John Saxon. He's great. John Saxon is fucking great. And honestly, he should have been in this. This is the best Roger Corman movie Roger Corman never made. And he should have been in this fucking thing. But he wasn't. But he did a very good job in this. Robert Englund was not utilized enough.
I actually really disliked how they wrote out his character within the first half hour.
Yeah.
That was kind of crap because if you're making the whole premise of the movie that it's real life and then Freddy comes to real life, having Robert Englund play against himself as Freddy would have been the highlight of the entire movie.
No, that's exactly what you do. You can do it one of two ways. Like you have the Robert Englund versus Freddy Krueger. Like you have the showdown, and you have Freddy Krueger angry at Robert Englund. Like you think you're me, kid, and like you have that fight. And like you can have that fight, and you can even do it with a certain. You can lead in with a joke. I mean, I know X-Files did it, but you can lead in with the Marx Brothers, where he comes out and they act like it's a mirror with each other, and then that turns into an actual fight. Like you could go that direction if you want to, which I know Robert Englund would want to do because he was into the Looney Tunes shit from Freddy's Dead. But even still, like the fact that there's no fight between Robert Englund and Freddy Krueger is a stupidly missed opportunity that I don't understand.
And I think that's probably the biggest mark against it.
Yeah.
For sure. If going against with that premise.
Yeah. It just fucking wasted potential.
Best kills.
Wes Craven's wasted potential.
So for our next category, it's going to be best kill. Right off the bat for my pick, it's pretty easy for me, Jason X. My favorite scene in the entire movie is when Jason is in the hologram and they purposely get the bimbo teenagers who want to have premarital sex as a lure, and then he beats the other one to death while they're both in sleeping bags. And it's so good. It's gold. It really is one of the best scenes I've seen in any Jason movie, hands down.
It's one of the defining moments of Jason Voorhees just in the pantheon of all the stuff he's done. It is one of his defining kills, even though it's technically not a kill. I don't give a fuck. It is, by hands down, the best kill. And to be honest, this doesn't really have anything. Like there's there's one kill, and the only decent kill that's in this movie is a remake of one of the best kills in the first movie.
Yeah,
it's Julie basically just redoing the scene in the the tumbling upside down room scene, to where like lines are repeated, and whereas Jason X has not one but two really fucking good kills in it. The cryogenic frozen smashed face. A kill that's so good, they put it in Mythbusters, for fuck's sake.
There's no doubt this would ruin your day, but could a 5-second dunk freeze a warm face so fast it explodes on impact?
Yeah, this movie has two strong kills. This has dick. But yeah, no, Jason X wins this hands down. I mean, that's 2 votes already, but fucking look at the thing. It's great. How many times have we shown it in this episode so far? At least 3, I'm sure.
And you also forgot to mention my second favorite kill is when that one guy gets thrown onto the corkscrew and slowly spins all the way down. Oh man, that one is that's a close second. Like
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
that's my problem with Wes Craven's New Nightmare is there's only 2 real kills in the movie, which is Chase and then Julie.
Right.
And they're both we've seen them before. That's kind of the overarching problem with this movie is it wants to remind you of things you've already seen, but it doesn't build on them. It uses those as the foundation, and it doesn't work.
The movie just feels lazy.
Fuck you, Wes Craven. You lazy dead motherfucker.
The fact that this has, like you said, there's only 2 real deaths. The other 2 happened in a dream sequence that you find out is actually real. 4 people die in this thing. 29 people die on camera in this fucking thing. Not to mention the 2,000 people in the space station that blow up because Jason kills the fucking captain. Like, that 2,029 people die in this movie. So Freddy wins body count. No, fucking Jason wins. Jason wins 2,029 versus 4. That's low for a Freddy Krueger movie. And the kills sucked.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that even if you didn't include the space station, which is obviously superfluous,
right,
as a body count number.
Even if you take that out, you take out the fact that the girl kills herself in the spaceship because she fucking flies up. That's still 28.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's 7 times. There are 7 times more deaths in this one that are worth a damn on camera, one of which is David Cronenberg. David fucking Cronenberg dies in this movie. 4 people die in this, and it's not even an actor. Like, they don't even, kill off Wes Craven or fucking Robert Englund in this movie, which I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but, because it's been a while since I saw this, and I purposely did not watch this again until we just watched it again. I thought Wes Craven died, in the movie. I thought that he wrote the script and died, and then they found the script afterwards, and then they were going to make the movie. I thought that the actual funeral was Wes Craven's funeral, which is why when he died, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, he died in his own movie. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, because clearly that's not what happened, but you know what? That probably would have made for a better fucking movie.
You remembered it better than it actually was.
I did. I did the groundwork for this piece of shit, and it let me down.
So for our next category, it's going to be music. As for my pick, again, I'm going to go with Jason X on this one, mostly because Wes Craven's New Nightmare had some very ill-fitting music, and it really accentuated how bad of an actor Heather is, because there were times where she would say a line, and then the music would swell up, and you're just like, I feel like I'm watching a Lifetime movie. It was just too much.
This was a really overblown, full orchestral score. Whereas this was, this thing looked like a fucking, I kept making a joke, I kept expecting a Showtime logo to pop up on the bottom.
It kind of looks like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie.
Yeah, but it's not quite, it's not quite Sci-Fi Channel, because it is still a little bit, it is still adult. There's still nudity and gore and shit. which is why I said like Showtime or Cinemax, something to pop in the corner. So, but the music sounds like that. Like it sounds like the music that you would hear in like a Roger Corman movie, or it sounded like a Full Moon movie. It sounded like Charles Band's brother wrote it. But with that, they would still sneak in like little stings from Friday the 13th. So you would still hear that score on top of. It was kind of. I don't want to say synth. It was supposed to be like an orchestral score, but it was clearly made like a MIDI synth kind of thing. Like it wasn't like a full orchestral thing. But with that, it was better. This was obviously more grandiose. But that was better utilized. I'll take something that's cheaper and better utilized versus bombastic and just it makes everything sounds melodramatic as fuck.
I agree, yeah, because, in Jason X, the music, you're right, it does sound a little bit cheaper, but it works because the movie has a certain style to it.
Yeah.
It's got a certain appearance. It looks cheap. It looks intentionally cheap and hokey. And that's why the music works, because it helps accentuate that feeling. New Nightmare, it was to the point when the music was just too loud, and it was one of those things I feel like it would have benefited from a lot less music overall. Just kind of let the scenes breathe and just kind of happen.
Yeah, no, this movie, yet again, this movie does not get a vote. Jason X wins music. All right, final category, best overall. You know how this is going to go. It's Jason X certainly wins best overall on New Nightmare. Even though I've been talking shit about it this whole episode, I feel like I know I like this more than you did.
Yes.
Just because, like I said, there are ideas in it. It is endearing. There are elements of it that I like. At the end of the day, it just doesn't work. You were talking about how it just doesn't. It never sets anything up. It doesn't seem strong in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we had talked about off camera that there's an ongoing theme in the movie that someone keeps calling Heather and saying 1, 2, don't go to sleep kind of thing. And that was a plot line that multiple characters referenced. Hey, did you get this? You keep getting phone calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just goes nowhere. Yeah. They just drop, it just stops.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same respect that Robert Englund just basically got written out of the story. He literally disappeared off camera. Yeah. And that's a big detriment because this movie, instead of taking the good parts of Nightmare and using that as a solid foundation, it uses them as a crutch to lean on and to remind you, hey, we did this. Hey, we did this. Hey, remember when her hair turned gray?
Yeah.
There's nothing else in addition to that. It's just that.
Yeah.
Whereas Jason X, while the plot is crazy, and it doesn't make sense how Jason got there, it doesn't matter because it's Jason in space, and that's what you came to watch.
Right.
And that's what it nails the fuck out of. Because Jason going to space is great. Cryogenically frozen, hilarious. I love it. There was good kills with that too. And I like him being suplexed by not Candyman into the atmosphere of Earth too. Like, where the hell are you ever going to see something like that?
Right.
It's original.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's original. It is a stupid plot, but it's done well, and that's why it's easily my pick, because it's what I've been talking about for these last couple episodes. Like with New Nightmare, it's got this problem where it needs to go one direction or the other. Tonally, it's confused because it keeps meandering between the two, and given the plot that it has set up, it doesn't work. Because if you're going to write Freddy Krueger comes to real life, you got to make the stakes feel real. Yeah. Kill off Wes Craven, kill off Robert Englund, so that way when the ending comes, it feels justified. Mm-hmm. None of that happens.
No. And you were talking about the subplot of having the phone calls and having the stalker and everything. I had mentioned before, have the stalker show up. One thing you could have done is, rather than having somebody she knows being the stalker, you could have had the stalker be just some random guy, like someone who's like sitting out in front of her house that you see in the background, so it doesn't just come out of fucking nowhere like the end of Jurassic Park 3 when the fucking military shows up. But like you set it up at least a little bit.
That's a weird segue.
But it happens. You know what I'm saying? I said it, but you know what I'm talking about. Right.
I saw it in theaters.
It's so shitty. But yeah, no. So you have the guy there. He comes out, and you have him show up right when Freddy's getting ready to attack Heather. And so it's like, here's the thing she's been afraid of the entire time. This stalker's going to come and ruin her family. The stalker finally shows up, and she's like, wait a minute. The stalker's not the thing to fear here. It's fucking Freddy. And she sees Freddy rip this guy who she's been petrified of for months. She ripped that guy to shreds, and she's like, no, this is the real threat. But again, like this, we're doing too much legwork for this fucking thing. It just doesn't. It completely falls by the wayside, and I don't know if it's if they had more going on and they cut it out or what was going on. But at the same time, like I don't know. This thing is an hour and 52 minutes long.
It's the longest Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
It's a fucking slog. Like there's no reason any horror movie should be beyond 90 minutes. Like that's my basic rule. No horror movie should be that fucking long, because it's get in, get out. Horror and comedy plays with just boom, 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 keep it going. This is so slow, and not in a slow burn good way. Like it's not like you're building up and you're getting tension. It's the tension's undercut by the music. It's undercut by the terrible acting. It's undercut by the fact that you don't really give a shit about the characters. The only characters you do give a shit about are just hi bye, Robert Englund hi bye, John Saxon hi bye. Like they're instantly gone. For as much promise as this had, it doesn't work. Jason X, I know there are a lot of Jason fans who hate this movie. They absolutely hate it. But at the same time, there's a lot of Jason fans who love Jason Goes to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Who
are you people?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Jason Goes to Hell's a piece of shit. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's goofy. It's shitting on the franchise.
Jason Goes to Hell didn't have Jason in it.
It's fucking this thing has no concept of any continuity. No one gives a shit.
Not since part 4.
It's a dude in a fucking hockey mask. And this is something, and it's not even just a dude in a hockey mask. The reason we got Jason Goes to Hell is because the producer of Jason let some snot-nosed kid tell him the last thing kids are going to want to see is kids getting cut up by a hockey mask when wearing Madman. That's all I want to see, you dipshit! Which is why this is great. Because not only do we get a guy with a fucking hockey mask killing a bunch of fucking teenagers, he does it in zero gravity. It's fucking awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's a fucking, yeah, it's an action movie. Yeah, it's a comedy. Yeah, it's science fiction. It's almost anything else but horror. But you know what? I'm okay with that. That's fine. This was horror and it sucked.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. This, again, it did something different.
Yeah.
And it went in a new direction, and it took Jason somewhere it hadn't gone before, and it worked. I just don't even want to talk about that anymore.
I will say, pre-Uber Jason, the makeup for Jason X, it just looked like Kane Hodder. It uninspired and fucking boring. Like
you can see his own gray hair.
Yeah. And like the very first shot, you see Kane Hodder's ear. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like he was a zombie 2 movies ago. Granted, this is supposed to take place after Freddy vs. Jason, but even then, like he's this big, like golem. He's like almost green and brown. Like he's just. Granted, I know Freddy vs. Jason was made after that movie, and I understand that. I get that. But they made it look more human, and it just was the fucking wrong way to go. It didn't look that great. I love Kane Hodder. He does a great job in this movie. But fucking, yeah, that design wasn't great. At the same time, though, Uber Jason was fucking cool looking. Yeah, Jason X wins.
I don't even know what else the fuck to say at this point. Cut the cameras. We're done.
Yeah, that'll do it for episode 10 of Fright Fight. Next one we have to deal with. Oh fuck! The next episode is the remakes.
Yes, it is.
We gotta watch that fucking Nightmare remake. Is it too late to quit doing this show?
But it's got Sam from Supernatural in it. That's Friday. Never mind.
Yeah, it has nothing. The fucking remake has nothing, Joe. There's nothing to cling to. It's so terrible. Spoiler alert, we're gonna pick Friday next episode. Goodbye!
Get up and kill!
Moderately Neato.